Okay, give me my paper. Okay, next lesson. Similar to the last lesson. More adding and subtracting mixed numbers. In this lesson, I'm really going to work your knowledge of properties. If you want all the properties on one page, you go to the last page of the Mega Notes. These properties will be used throughout your math career in middle school and high school. You really want to know them. I never really learned them when I was a kid. We just learned to memorize how to do stuff. We didn't really know why we were doing it. Properties explain why you're doing something. Like right here, they changed the order here. Changing the order is commutative property. They moved it from the end to the middle. And then deciding to group these together different than the way they were grouped before is called associative property. And you see why they did this? Because a negative 5 2/9 and a positive 5 2/9 are additive inverses, another property, and they're opposites. Remember we went over zero pairs? That's 0. Now it's like not having to do any like real math work at all. The answer's right there, 3.7. So we're going to use the properties today to make our lives easier. We're going to use a lot of this. The opposite of the sum is the sum of the opposites. Negative, negate, opposite. The opposite of the sum is the sum of the opposites. It doesn't have to be a mixed number. It can be regular integers or whole numbers. So let's go through this example. And let's try not to use a calculator this time. If I read this off, you'll know the answer. 1 2/3 is 1 2/3. The signs are the same. Remember from the combining lesson I went over, the signs are the same. You add and keep the signs. Over here, is this an addition or a subtraction question? That's right, it's subtraction. So you need to rewrite it. Subtractions adding the opposite. Numero uno. Always get your insurance card out. Make sure it's in the car before you go for a drive. You need to have your nationwide insurance. Okay? Stay safe. Subtractions adding the opposite. So now the signs are the same. We can add them and keep the sign. Like I stated in the combining notes. A negative whole with a negative part is a negative mixed number. And if you don't believe me, because I make mistakes, I understand. Use a calculator. Check it out. Do -1 minus 2/3 in the calculator. You should get this. And if it comes out improper, then you have to change your improper to mixed button. Again, these things are very nicely taught in a playlist that I put on your updates page. Please check out that playlist. Or if you go to my YouTube channel, you should find it there on my YouTube channel. Is this an addition problem? Yes, it is, so we don't have to do this. And the signs are different. When the signs are different, you do the difference. And we could do this on a number line. We can go back 1 and then write 2/3. If you want to try and think about it conceptually with the picture. If you put it in the calculator, you get your answer very easily. I have a negative and I'm going back to the right, so I need a number that's bigger than my -1. And go ahead and do it in the calculator if you want. You're going to get, I didn't go all the way back to 0, so I'm still negative. There's more negatives than there are positives. That's more negatives. You're going to have a third left over. It's a -1/3. Okay, over here we have a similar problem with the same numbers with different signs. Both the signs are different, so we're going to do the difference again. Difference. We're going to take 2/3 away from 1. This is a subtraction question, so according to Mrs. Roberts, you better get your nationwide insurance out and add the opposite. If I'm going to sketch a quick number line, I would go right 1 whole and then left 2/3. Again, it's similar to this one. except this time I was on the negative side. This time I'm on the positive side. 1/3. Okie dokies. You could always, on YouTube, you can change the speed of the videos if you needed to go slower or faster. You can always pause. You can always go back and hear it again as many times as you want to hear the sound of my voice. Here is a problem. It is done. There is nothing for you to do. These are notes. You read them. You make sure you understand them. You ask for help if you don't understand them. If you were to read this without me, it'd probably be pretty difficult, but I'm here to help. We have negative 13 and 5/7 plus 6 minus 2/7. The first thing I like to do, and draw this stuff in, because whatever I'm writing, you're writing. I can always tell when someone's taking their notes without watching my video, because it doesn't look anything like what I wrote. So, subtracting a number is the same as adding its inverse, or the opposite of the sum is the sum of the opposites. Oh yeah, oops, they said that because they did this. Subtractions, adding the opposite. So that was step 1. They wrote subtractions, adding the opposite. So they did this. Sorry, skip this step. The opposite of the sum is the sum of the opposites. Copy, copy, done. Okay, check, check. Now, what changed here? From here to here, what changed? Well, it looks like these got switched. That's called commutative property. When you switch the order. So, I'll just draw this right here. I switched these. Now, you're going to have to know how to do this because I might give you a problem like this and ask you to label the side like that. And then, where did this -1 came from? Well, this is the same, and this is the same, so the -1 must have come from here. I did this group right now because I associated them together. I grouped them. And I can do that because everything here is addition, so we're cool. After I do that, then we can just do PEMDAS. When I have 2 additions, I do whichever one comes first. 13 negatives with 1 negative is 14 negatives. And when these signs are different, I do the difference. The difference of 14 and 6 is 8, but there are more negatives, so the answer is negative. And I don't care if you use the calculator, that's fine. Okay? This is how you use the properties to make your life easier. And you might be saying it's even easier if you use the calculator. True. But the reason why I teach you the properties is because you will not always do math with only numbers. You're going to use letters too, and you have to use the properties. All right, back in the day, I used to go over how to do this problem by hand. I used to get my like denominators. I would say, what's the factors of 5? Well, 5 is just 5 and 1. 4 has factors of 2 and 2. The lowest common denominator has to have the 2, and the 5, which makes the LCD 20. So then you have to multiply the 5 by 4 and the 4 by 5, and this is all the work. Old school. Not doing it like that. I'm going to use the properties instead. So, first, if we see subtraction, we get out our insurance card and we're going to start breaking it up. So I got -2 2/5, +3 1/4. I see a subtraction sign, which is adding the opposite. Okay, we're using properties to make our lives easier. I see mixed numbers. Let's break them apart. This is not mixed. I'm just going to copy it. So remember, a negative mixed number is made up of a negative whole with a negative part. Positive has a positive whole with a positive part. Now, let's change the order of this so that we can have all the whole numbers together and all the fractions together. Okay, so I'm going to change the order. I'm going to keep the -2. Let's move these. I'm going to move this 3 here, and I'll move the -2/5 here, and the -3/5 here, and I'm going to put the 1/4 last. Any idea why I moved the order of these fractions too? You might figure it out. Okay, so now I just did commutative property. I changed the order. Now I'm going to do associative property. I'm going to group these together and do the answer. What's 2 negatives and 3 positives? That's right. And you know why I did this? Because I want to put these in a group. You know why I want to put them in a group? Because they have like denominators and I don't have to do any extra work. So since they have like denominators, it's like asking you, what's 2 negatives and 3 negatives make? It makes 5 negatives. Remember, it was fractions that were fifths. So we're going to put the denominator back there. And I'm going to copy the 1/4 because I didn't do anything with that yet. I'm going to regroup this again. But let me do this first. Keep this. Let's simplify this. This can be simplified. Anything divided by itself is 1. That's a property. Remember, it was a negative number though, so put that negative back. And then we have the 1/4. I did it again, didn't I? There's a mistake on here. I made my mistake over here. There's more positives or negatives? More positives. Whoopsie. Let's fix that. Okay. A number with its opposite. That's called additive inverse. That's called a 0 pair. I'm just going to slash it because it's gone. And my answer, 1/4. And I didn't do any of that stuff I talked about before. So you see how the properties made that problem easier. All right, the next one isn't so heavy on the properties, so why don't you try that one on your own. Pause the video. When you're done, unpause the video and check your work. Okay, so you should have went back 10 and right 5 and 1/8. This is like that other problem. We are greater than the -5, but by a little bit. So think of it as reading it this way. When we go left, read it left. It is a -4 and a -7/8, making a -4 7/8. Negative whole with a negative part is a negative mixed. And you can always check this stuff on the calculator. So if Mrs. Roberts still asks you to do a number line, go ahead and do it on the calculator, but go back and do the number line. Okay, this is another properties question, and I want you to do it yourself. So this time, you guys are going to do this one on your own, and you're going to do this one on your own. So when I ask you to do this, that's where So you're definitely going to break things apart, change the order. This is the breaking the mixed numbers apart, changing the order, changing the grouping. And you can use a calculator to see what the final answer is, but you should be able to make this easier while doing this. And then you're going to do this one on your own too. Just remember, whenever I say explain, you have to give me words. Okay? When you are done with doing this, because I'm not going to put the answers up right now, you're going to submit your homework, and at 2 p.m., make sure you check the key. 2 p.m., check the answer key. We are in the combining, no we're not. We're in the mixed number fraction folder, so the answer key will be in the mixed number fraction folder. Okay, see you when I see you.